Good morning. This is call number 2020-37587. In the interest of Emma Escobar Lee, all parties, please raise your right hands to be sworn. You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, ma'am, please state your name and your relationship to the child.
I'm Corinne Lee, and I'm the child's mother.
All right, sir, your name and your relationship to the child.
I'm Brian Escobar, and I'm the dad of the child.
And for the state.
Marcella Turner.
And we've got an original petition and a suit affecting the parent-child relationship. We're having a hearing. Do we have any stipulations?
Yes, we do, Your Honor. The parties have agreed to $348 in monthly child support and $75 in cash medical support, both of those to begin on March 1st of 2021.
All right. And is that correct, Ms. Lee? You agreed to that?
Yes.
And Mr. Escobar, you agreed to that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and so what are the issues?
Your Honor, the remaining issues are conservatorship, although the parties do agree that the child resides with visitation, better known as possession and access, retroactive child support, and the non-disclosure issue, along with the geographical restriction.
We have child support. We have retro child support.
Yes, that's correct, Your Honor.
All right. Okay, so we've got sole or joint managing conservator, possession and access, child support, retroactive child support, and geographical restriction. Is there any more?
The non-disclosure issue, and remember,
Non-disclosure. Okay.
right, and the parties stipulated to the child support, so just the retroactive child support.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, let's go back. All right, let's proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, the state calls Miss Lee. Miss Lee, how old is the child before the court today?
11 months. Well, almost 11 months.
I'm sorry?
She's 10 months, almost 11.
And when was the last time Mr. Escobar saw the child?
The day she came out the hospital when she was first born.
Now, has Mr. Escobar ever contacted you in an effort to visit with the child since the child's birth?
No.
And so therefore, he's made no effort to visit the child. Is that your contention today?
Yes.
Who's been making or who's been taking care of the child from day one? Has it been you?
Yes. Me and my parents.
And do you believe that you and Mr. Escobar could come together as co-parents and co-parent this child?
Yes.
Do you believe that you and Mr. Escobar should have the same rights as it relates to this child?
No, not at the moment.
And why is that?
He hasn't seen her since she's been born. He doesn't want to, like, when it comes to visitation or anything, he doesn't want to tell me where he lives so I'll be able to know where she's at, to check up on her. I don't know anything about any of the people he's living with, his family. And he hasn't given me the opportunity to get to know any of them, so I'd be able to trust anybody over there.
Okay, so when you say he hasn't given you that opportunity, when did you meet Mr. Escobar?
I met him over 2 years ago.
Okay, and were you guys ever in a relationship?
Yes.
And how long were you in that relationship before the child was conceived?
It was on and off for about 6 months.
Okay, so is it an accurate statement to state that maybe perhaps you just don't know Mr. Escobar?
Yes.
Okay, and do you feel that because you don't know Mr. Escobar, that that might be leading towards your belief that he is not capable of caring for this child?
Yes.
Okay. And if this court were to order some sort of visitation, what type of visitation would you think would be in the best interest of your child?
At the moment, supervised visitation.
And how long would that supervised visitation take place?
Mm, I don't really know, to be honest.
Okay. And if this court were to order supervised visitation, who would supervise that visitation?
Me.
Now, do you have any safety concerns with Mr. Escobar having your address if you were to move?
Yes, because before I had the baby, he threatened to take her from me and stuff like that. So yes.
And has he ever made any threats to do harm to you or the child?
No.
And do you believe that if he knew where you lived, that that could possibly cause you or the child some sort of harm?
No.
So, other than the threats he's made to take the child, has he made any other threats towards you?
No. Just to take the child.
Has he ever physically placed his hands on you or the child?
No.
And are you asking this court to keep your address confidential?
No, because he already knows where I live.
If you were to move, are you asking this court to order that your address not be disclosed?
Yes.
And why is that?
Well, for the time being, I don't trust him. He hasn't been around, and I don't know him enough.
So let me ask you something, Ms. Lee. Is it safe to say that any reasonable person that did not know a person would possibly have trust issues with that person?
Can you reiterate that question?
Is it a reasonable statement or conclusion that if you did not know any person, whether that be Mr. Escobar or anyone that you met off the street, that that might possibly cause you not to trust that person?
Yeah, I wouldn't trust that person.
Okay, so essentially, your trust or lack thereof has nothing to do with the fact that Mr. Escobar is not capable of being a joint managing conservator, and more so just due to the fact that you barely knew him when you guys had this child. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And do you live in Harris County?
Yes.
And to your knowledge, does Mr. Escobar live in Harris County?
Yes.
And today I spoke to you regarding some sort of modified visitation schedule. Did I not?
Mm-hmm.
And you were not in agreement with the modified portion until your child turns the age 3?
Yes.
Okay. And since the baby's birth, have you and Mr. Escobar ever lived together?
No.
And has Mr. Escobar ever provided financially for this child since the baby's birth?
No.
Has Mr. Escobar ever contacted you and offered to give you money for the child?
In the beginning, when she was first born, yes.
And when he contacted you attempting to give you money for the child, did you take it?
No, I didn't agree to the amount.
So you did not take the money that he offered because you did not agree to the amount.
No.
But you believe that some back child support is ordered today, is that correct?
Yes.
No further questions for this witness. I'll pass the witness.
You have any questions for her, Mr. Escobar?
Uh, just one, Your Honor. When did I try to take the baby away? Or when did I
You
imply that?
You threatened to take her while I was pregnant and after I had her, like right after I had her.
When exactly? What were my words?
You said if I was to ever get involved with people and bring them around Emma and they barely know me or her, that you were going to take her. And that if I was to bring anybody that you don't know around her, that you were going to take her. You said if I kept on like messing with you about custody and money or anything like that, you're going to try to get full custody.
I really don't recall saying that at all.
You said it in the
Oh,
hospital.
wait a minute. Wait a minute. It's question and answer. Sir, you just made a statement that I gotta let you make a statement later on. The only thing you can do right now is ask her questions. And ma'am, you have to wait until the question is asked. And then you answer only the question, okay?
Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
You have any other questions of her, Mr. Escobar?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Miss Turner?
State calls Mr. Escobar. Mr. Escobar, when's the last time you saw this child?
Saw her Wednesday, maybe a week after the baby was born.
And why have you not seen the child since then?
Because Corinne brought up the fact that, we were in the middle of a pandemic, and I agreed not to see the child because, the pandemic was going around, and at my job we already had like 3 cases of COVID, and I didn't want to put the baby at risk.
Okay, so is it your contention today that the only reason that you have not attempted to see the child is due to the ongoing health concerns?
Yes, ma'am.
Outside of the pandemic, if this were not happening, do you believe that you would have been more active in seeing the baby?
Yes, ma'am.
And once the pandemic, did I speak to you today regarding a modified visitation schedule?
Yes, ma'am.
And I explained the details of that modified visitation schedule, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you understood and agreed that it would take some time for you to build a relationship with the child due to you being kind of absent,
Yes,
based on
ma'am.
reasons you just stated here today. So you were in agreement with a modified visitation schedule until the child turned age 3?
That's correct.
And were you also willing to continue to wait a little bit longer until a better handle was gained on this pandemic before you started taking the child overnight or anything like that?
That's right.
Now, do you believe that you and Miss Lee could come together as co-parents to raise this child and make decisions regarding this child?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you asking to have equal decision-making rights today as it relates to this child?
That's right.
And as far as the back child support issue goes, have you provided financially for this baby since the baby's birth?
Since the baby was born, no, ma'am.
And have you attempted to provide money to Miss Lee since the baby was born?
Yes, ma'am.
And how much did you offer her, and when did you begin offering her that amount?
Offer her
Yeah.
$200, and I want to say it was like right after the baby was born.
Was that per month, or were you willing to pay that every 2 weeks? What were you offering at that point?
A month, ma'am.
And what was her response when you stated that?
She denied it. She wanted to take $400.
So, do you believe that some back child support is ordered today, despite you offering money but her refusing it?
No, ma'am.
And do you believe that, I'm sorry, I'll go on to the next statement. So, in regards to the non disclosure issue, do you currently know where Miss Lee lives?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you ever threatened to do harm to her or the child?
No, ma'am.
And have you ever made any threats to take the child?
Never, ma'am.
And have you come here today to court to ask for custody of this child?
No, ma'am.
And despite you knowing that you would have to pay child support and medical support, you still did not request to take custody of this child. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you believe that in order to visit with your child, or even if you're not visiting with your child on site, that you would need to know where the mother lived, or are you okay with not having her address?
I would like to know where she lives, ma'am.
And does Miss Lee know where you live?
No, ma'am.
Okay, and why is that?
When when I met her parents, we had some issues going on, and her dad threatened me to. My dad passed away like a few months before that, and he threatened me to put me. He said, "Lay me next to my dad."
Okay.
To what? I'm
And
sorry, I didn't understand that.
Her dad threatened me,
Can,
Your Honor, to put me next to my dad, which is, my dad has passed
to
away.
put you next to your dad. Okay. In other words, bury you.
Yes,
All
yes,
right.
Your Honor.
Before the
and
baby
do
was
you have safety concerns with Miss Lee having your address?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, if this court ordered a non-disclosure for either one of your addresses or both and visitation, where would you two possibly meet to exchange the child? Is it a mutual meeting place?
Uh, I think that would be ideal, ma'am.
Well, I believe mother's not asking for a non-disclosure.
She is, Your Honor. She stated
Oh,
she was.
I
I
said
thought you just stated that you didn't care where if he knew where you lived. Is that unless
yeah,
you moved?
yeah, he already knows where I live
Okay.
right.
Okay, but she's not asking for a non-disclosure at this time.
Okay. And Mr. Escobar, do you live in Harris County?
Yes, ma'am.
No further questions for this witness. I'll pass the witness.
Miss Lee, do you have any questions for Mr. Escobar?
Mm, yes. Didn't my dad tell you that before I even got pregnant?
Yes, and it was afterwards too.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. And
No, no, no,
when
no, no, no
you came
statements,
to,
ma'am. Just a question.
okay, when you came to visit the baby right after she came from the hospital, didn't you and my dad get an understanding? And didn't you apologize for everything you said?
I did, and later after that, uh, he yelled at me again, and also your
Are
mom
you
texted me.
lying, or do I need to pull out text message proof?
He called me.
Do you really want to keep lying?
I'm not
As
lying.
didn't he call you? Didn't you and him talk on the phone the night you came?
Objection asked and answered.
Oh,
No,
all right, go
the
overrule.
night,
Go ahead, ask the question, ma'am. Ask the question. Get it out.
the night you came to visit her. Did you talk on the phone and y'all had got an understanding and you were telling him everything you felt and he tried to negotiate with me to let you see her? And he didn't threaten you, right? He didn't say anything wrong to you, right?
That time, that's right. That time he didn't.
That's the last time you talked to him.
We talked multiple times, and most of the times he threatened me. He
Are
yelled at
you
me.
lying?
I got I got my brother as a witness when he called me. He started yelling.
Wait a minute, ma'am. It's a question and then answer. You can't interrupt.
Okay. Do you want us to pull out call log to prove that you were lying?
Go for it.
Okay. Okay. Now, another thing. You're talking about my mom said that you couldn't visit her due to the pandemic. Didn't she tell you that you couldn't visit because you were saying that your brother was sick? And she said right after that you could visit once your brother was feeling better.
I got the text messages where you told me because of the pandemic I couldn't visit Emma.
Didn't I say in the text messages that my mother said because your brother is sick that y'all have to wait?
That was literally the night I went to see Emma.
Okay, anyways, the night you had, okay, one more question. The night you had said you were going to come visit Emma and drop off some more stuff for her, didn't you send money instead and then proceed to text me that you weren't going to come visit her for a couple of weeks until you made sure that you didn't have COVID?
Yes, I
Because
did say that.
okay, and you said you start visiting her again. Another thing, didn't you say recently, which was like a few months prior to this today, you said that you weren't seeing her because of the child support issue, not because of anything my parents said?
Nah, I wasn't gonna give you money till I had these child support papers on hand because you didn't accept the $200. I have the messages.
I have no more questions.
All right, Miss Turner, any further witnesses?
No further witnesses, Your Honor.
All right, Miss Lee, do you have any witnesses you wish to present?
Yes, my mother.
Has she been sworn? Where is she?
She's right here.
All right, ma'am. Raise your right hand. Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
All right. Go ahead, Miss Leah.
Um,
No,
at
no,
the
no, 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 no. You're a witness. You can only answer questions. Okay.
Okay. So, Mama, the night he came home from the hospital, did Daddy threaten him in any way or cuss him out or anything like that?
no, your daddy did not cuss him out prior to him coming
Okay.
over.
Wait. That's the answer, ma'am. There's only question and answer. I'm not going to let you go on
Okay.
with all sorts of things. Okay.
The next question is, can you explain what him and Daddy were saying on the phone to each other?
They discussed.
Objection, hearsay.
Sustained. You can't say what somebody else said, man.
Okay. Did you and Brian ever say that he couldn't come visit her at all due to what happened with his brother? Didn't you say that once his brother got better, that him and his
Objection, leading.
Okay, sustained. You can't lead the witness, ma'am. You can't tell her what it was you want her to say. Okay.
okay, didn't you tell Brian that once his brother got better, that
Objection, leading.
Sustained. You can't tell her
no questions?
what you said. All right. Do you have any questions for uh Miss Lee, Mr. Escobar, the mother?
I got one question, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead.
Miss Lee, has Corin's dad ever threatened me on the phone?
No, not to my knowledge.
No questions, Your Honor.
All right. Miss Turner, Miss Lee, you have any further witnesses?
No.
Mr. Escobar, do you have any witnesses you wish to present to the court?
No, Your Honor.
All right. And Ms. Turner, you have any final argument in this matter? What was the amount of child support, by the way?
The amount of child support was $348.
Okay. Okay. Do you have any final argument here?
Your Honor, the state is requesting that the court make a determination regarding the conservatorship, the visitation, the retroactive child support, and the non-disclosure and geographical issue based off of the testimony and evidence presented here today by both parties. Should the court make a decision as to retroactive child support, the time frame is for 12 months, as the child was born in March of last year, and so will be about a year from now. Other than that, the state rests.
All right. Anything further you want to say, Miss Leo? Miss
No.
Lee? Okay. Anything further you want to say, Mr. Escobar?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, the court finds that the following orders are in the best interest of the child. The mother and father appointed joint managing conservators. The father is to have modified possession and access until the child reaches age 3. Mothers to supervise the visits when required. Retroactive child support judgment is awarded in the amount of $4,000 to be paid at the rate of $52 a month, beginning March 1st, 2021. Geographical restriction is ordered to Harris and contiguous counties. Non-disclosure is denied. And all the other stipulations are approved. Is there any other issues I need to address, Ms. Turner?
No, Your Honor, that's all.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
In order.
May we be excused?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Escobar and Ms. Lee, wait right there.
Yes, ma'am.